Cameron Hooks, welcome to the allredding podcast. It's my pleasure to get to chat to you today. All guests on the allredding podcast get one of our tumblers, but this one's it's got something in it that's just for you.
Really?
Yeah. It's not ice. It sounds like ice, but it's not ice.
That sounds 9mm-ish.
I'm just saying you might want to wash it before you put water in it. I don't think lead is good to drink.
No, it's not. That's awesome. Yeah. Just put that on ice. That should be fine.
There you go. No, seriously, thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you, guys.
So, for our audience who doesn't know you, like I have the pleasure of knowing you, you are a law enforcement officer, a youth sports coach, a family man, and one of my closest friends. But interestingly, the reason that I asked you to be a guest here on the allredding podcast is you have a life story that I know will be an encouragement to those in our community. And so I wanted to talk to you today about you and kind of from the beginning to what brought us here today. So that's the goal, is to hear your story and some of the things that you learned along the way that you might be able to share toward the end of our time together with youth in our community or the parents of those youth in our community. So then let's get into it. I guess, where were you born? We'll start at the very beginning.
Well, like you said, my name is Cameron Hooks. I'm a dad. I got 3 beautiful kids and a beautiful wife. I was born actually in Berkeley, California, to 2 parents, and then I had an older brother. My family consisted of, I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. So I was the middle dude, older brother and little brother. When I was super young, we lived in, I don't ever think we lived in Berkeley. We lived in, for my first memories, we lived in Fremont. And I don't know if you know where Fremont is. It's like on the south end of the bay. Went to school in Fremont till about, I want to say like 3rd grade. I remember things by grade and not the year. Specifically because all of the like events in my life all lined up with like school, and that's like the only way I could categorize it. Okay. So if I say like, 8th grade year, I probably don't know what year it is and I'll have to think about it. But so 3rd grade, we leave Fremont and we moved to Elk Grove. My dad he actually started off here in Redding. I think my dad was actually born in Redding, and his family lived all around here. So my dad moved down to just to give you a little side note, my dad lived down in Oakland, graduated from high school in Oakland, and then met my mom in the Bay Area. She's from Redwood City, and they met, fell in love. After my dad went to prison at a young age, they met afterwards, and he got a job as a vacuum pump technician, which was a really like booming field. He was making good money in the 90s too, like $20 an hour in the 90s, which was like decently good money. But he always had to commute to Santa Clara. So wherever we lived, he always commuted to Santa Clara. So when we moved from Fremont to Elk Grove, it was a decent commute for him. So he would just go down and stay with my great uncle Jimmy in Oakland while we stayed at the house in Elk Grove. And I did 4th grade there. My parents ended up separating, and it was like this big blowout fight. And my dad was like, he told me, he's like, hey, we're going to keep this a secret. We're leaving. Like, we're going to pack the house. We're going to leave, turn in all your school books. We're out of here. And as a kid, I think I was 3rd grade, so that'd be 8. Trying to like keep a secret like that. But it's also like, I didn't understand the gravity of like, we're leaving. Like, your mom's not coming with us. So like years later, that would end up like, I don't even want to say causing trauma, but like once I realized what was happening, like that kind of sucks, you know? So my dad comes back with a U-Haul, gets us all, drives away, calls my mom, and he's like, hey, I took the boys, you're not getting them back, we're leaving. And talked to her on the phone, she's in tears. And that was the night we moved down to Oakland. I started school down there for 4th grade, I believe, 4th or 5th grade, down in Fremont. We lived over off of Central Avenue, and I went to some elementary school down there. Sounds like that's your 3rd school in about 4 or 5 school years total. So I went to Grimmer, then I went to, it was almost like a private school. We wore uniforms. I think it was a private school though, in Elk Grove. And then, so my third school within 4 years of schooling. Started school at Fremont. And then I'd go back and forth. My mom lived in Citrus Heights, but we still lived there. And then we moved from Fremont to Stockton, I think either later that year or 5th grade year. I believe it was 5th grade. Lived in Stockton for a little bit. Things got weird. My dad, I don't know, him and my mom like reconnected or rekindled or whatever. And she ended up moving back with us in Stockton, but they weren't like together, which was odd for us, but mom's back. So
they were more like roommates?
Yeah, kind of like roommates. Cause like my dad had like his own room but they would share the room sometimes. Like it was this weird dynamic to where he's like, we're not together, but then we are together. But then it was a bunch of awfulness. My older brother started getting into trouble.
How much older is he?
He is 2 years older than me. So
when your dad left, you said with the boys, what happened to your sisters?
So my sisters are both, I never call them that because I don't believe in calling them half sisters, but I have a sister on my mom's side and a sister on my dad's side. They both they never lived with us full time. They would like come and live with us sparingly, but then go back to their other parent. My sister Frances, I think she was living in Chester. And then my sister Ariana was living in, I want to say her mom lived in Anderson. So she would either come here or wherever her mom was living. So they would come live with us like summertime or something. Like I think the summer of '96, we all went on vacation to Disneyland, like all of us together. And I don't know if you're aware of 90s family vacations, but we all had matching outfits.
That sounds, it's for, you know, we're documenting history here. Is there pictures?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a photo of us in front of the old vintage Disneyland sign wearing Fila's, like khaki shorts and like a Fila polo.
I need this polo in my mind to be brightly colored so your parents couldn't lose you.
I think it was white. I think it was just a white polo, like khaki shorts and like the like classic red, white, and blue Filas.
Okay.
And like that was, I don't know why that was like the thing to do was to everyone be matching back in the 90s.
Did like mom or dad own stock in Fila, or were they like on sale at Marshall's? Or
nope,
how
have
did
no
they become a
idea.
thing?
No idea. Probably at Mervyn's. Mervyn's was a thing. I know that if there's some younger listeners, they have no idea. We'll have to is, but yeah. So I digress. My sisters didn't live with us at all, and when we lived in Fremont before we moved to Stockton, one of my cousins actually ended up living with us to help my dad with the kids. As an older cousin of mine, love her to death, and she moved with us to Stockton for a little while, and then she ended up moving out. And then so things started getting a little weird. My dad got hit on his motorcycle, and he had degenerative bone disease. And so he had to get a total hip replacement. So after he had his surgery back in, that had to have been like '04, they were just prescribing pain meds like crazy. Like they were giving him out like candy. Dude, I remember him having bottles that were probably like 8 inches tall, like with 500 Vicodin in. And so that's a little foreshadowing. So that ended up just kind of over time with the house in Stockton. My dad was like, I don't know if he was looking into like trying to buy property or what, but we ended up, I think it had to have been 2004. So I was in 7th grade in Stockton, and my brother was just getting into all kinds of trouble. Like there's a lot of gangs and bad kids to hang out with. And my brother started getting involved in like decent amount of criminal activity with these kids in Stockton. So my grandmother actually, rest in peace, she had a stroke from smoking crack cocaine, actually.
Oh, geez.
And
this is your dad's mom?
Yeah. And she ended up having it disabled her, all that, where it like made half her body numb.
Yeah, hemispherical.
Yeah. So she ended up being completely paralyzed, and she could only really move like her left hand. So we moved up here to be around them and try and take care of them. So we ended up moving to this trashy little apartment over off of Magnum's on Lake Boulevard. And my mom would live there with us, and my dad would commute back and forth to Oakland.
So post hip replacement, he's still making that long commute for work.
Yeah. And he ended up having to have a second hip replacement too. So like he was just like in all sorts of hurt. Like he had degenerative bone disease, like I said. So it just kind of sped up the process. So he ended up having 2 total hip replacements in a matter of, I want to say like 10 years.
And how old is your dad at this point?
He had to have been almost 40, I want to say, because he's born in '65. So that would make him
about 40.
Yeah, about
That's
40.
A real young man to have 2 hip replacements.
And like back in the day, like athletic, like there's a picture of him. I got to try and find it. When we lived in Fremont, the kid across the street was like a basketball player, like tall kid, and is like trying to dunk on my dad. And my dad was like up in the air, like swatting the ball, like next to the rim. And he was 33 or 34 years old. So almost the same age as I am now, and just up. And there's a picture. My mom had to have taken it because we have it. It's a printed out picture. But I was like, dude, stinking. He was fast. I remember he used to race these basketball players, high school kids, and smoke them barefoot in the street.
But importantly, how tall is your dad?
5'10".
Okay. So he's above the rim at 5'10".
Yeah, 5'10", above the rim, and like super fast. I have his broad shoulders, like super athletic guy. And like to give you like a little bit of backstory on my dad like had a really rough life growing up, got into drugs, fighting with the cops. Redding PD knew his name real well, and like had a whole history of just being in drugs. His family's had issues with drugs, like, so it was a well-known thing. He ended up going to prison for a few years, and then once he got out of prison, he was like, dude, I need to get my life together, and started working, like, and went to work to be like a staple, and like was successful. Wasn't doing dope anymore, like super successful, was a working man, like gave all that up. And it was, he was a good man. He really was. Character-wise, I don't know what he was up to character-wise, but like hard-working man who loved his kids, I would absolutely say that 10 times out of 10. We're living in Redding off of Magnums, going back and forth. And my dad reaches out to my uncle and is like, I want to buy some property. And where they were looking at like apartments or something to start getting some income, you know. And my dad was always the one like everybody looked up to, like, hey, like when you have like a family member, you're like, hey, in my family, it would be like, hey, let me hold some, like, let me get some money, you know.
Okay.
So that was my dad. We had an Escalade, you know, we always had a sound system in it. Like we were like, that was us, you know, like the successful ones. Like my brother still had his issues and was starting to run around and gangbang when we moved up here. But we moved from Magnums. Actually, to back up, before we moved, I met a dude that lived next door named Devin. Curly-headed dude, like for a white kid with a big afro, like we just hit it off. And he is like the sole reason I love baseball as much as I do today. I had never played baseball, never watched baseball really. Like we didn't even really go to A's games. Like as a kid, we were just A's fans because we're from Oakland.
But you still have that stupid frame around your license plate that says the A's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm insulting your roots.
You're still upset about 1989, aren't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, and
maybe,
that's okay.
Maybe more than a little. I'm so old, Cameron, that we used to get a thing at the house every day called a newspaper.
Yeah,
and,
they used to throw those.
And I would open it up and look at the, all the stats because this was, pre-internet, obviously. And it was hard not to love McGuire and Canseco in that era.
Bash Brothers, dude.
Yeah, it was hard not to love them. But,
everybody loved them.
But I did hate them as a Giants fan.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's just like old school rooted like sports hatred where you grew up loving a team.
Right.
And you just hated your rivals.
Right.
Like as a Raiders fan, there's two things that are promised. We're going to be disappointed and we will always hate the Niners.
I think you could add a third thing. Everyone will always hate you too. Maybe.
I will say that's probably decently accurate. So yeah, Devin, best friend, still my best friend for life. We've been friends for going on 20 years, I think, maybe over 20 years now. To this day, still I could call him and he'd be there in a heartbeat. Like absolute best friend. So we moved from there. We moved to the west side of town over off of Buenaventura.